Hey guys, it's Malthor here once again, and today there was an announcement that private leagues, something that people have been asking for pretty much the start of Path of Exile 5 years ago, and it was kind of put on the side, was finally announced and is going to be a thing as of something like next week. Now, I don't like to throw out too many opinions and all that because who am I? Just another guy. But a lot of people have already asked me what I think about this, and I'm sure there will be a lot more of that in the future, so I figure I'll check out a bit of a video just giving an opinion on the private leagues from my point of view and what they're going to be doing for the game, I think. So first of all, what are they? Simply put, they are just little side leagues or races, I guess, categories that you can enter into privately by paying a bit of a fee. Currently, it looks like it's about $10 to start a 10-day league. Side league, private league, whatever you want to call it, with 10 slots, and it can go up by another 100 players, another 10 players, 10 days, 30 days, that sort of thing, for $60, another 18 bucks. Overall, you're probably going to be paying something like 20 bucks just to imagine a 20-day league. And let's say 20 players, so something like $20 to $30 split amongst all those people, if you really want to, is only going to be like an extra dollar or so. And basically, these will just be harder little private leagues. So let's just clear it up right now. There's no real benefit to doing this except for playing a different sort of category situation for your character to be in. Economy, really, just having some friends or specific group of people to play with, like a streamer and their community, that sort of thing. But it's strictly just going to be harder and make things a bit more difficult for you, because currently all they're really offering here is for you to be able to make the same challenge league or standard as we currently have. So imagine you can make Delve League, private league for 10 people right now. It's still just going to be Delve, but then you can add an entire league difficulty mod to it, such as monsters having more damage, life, speed, elemental damage, proj numbers, so similar to a blamped race, reduced player resist, some real dumb shit like no stashes, so you can only use your inventory, no magic or rare items, no vendoring, and famine, where you just don't get your life mana and flasks back when you go to town. Some real tough shit like that. So it really sort of screams more to the hardcore crowd, because that's the whole point of this shit. It's for things to be more challenging, a bit more tough. And if you're just not getting enough of a hardcore experience in regular hardcore, this will slow the game down for you and really make your passive points, your gear, all of that shit, your decisions matter just that much more. To me, this does not seem at all like a thing softcore players would want to do, because if you want to make things harder for yourself on softcore, you spend less currency, you use less of a budget on your build, you have less life in your characters, you take on more challenging content, more challenging maps, and use more niche skills and shit like that. Whereas with hardcore and this sort of challenge stuff, you really throw out the rulebook there and you try and do your absolute best to maximize your chances of surviving. So you grab the most meta skills if you want, the most meta builds, and maximize your currency usage, all of that shit, just to do the best you possibly can. And I feel like this type of stuff really emphasizes that. This entire additional private league situation seems to me anyway just be for a very niche audience, so I wouldn't really worry too much about it taking players away from the core leagues and game, because if I were a betting man, and I absolutely am, I'd say you're not going to get like more than 1% of the player base away from the leagues into these private leagues, because it is definitely more for the niche crowd, the ones that really want to up their gameplay, their struggle, simply because they've ran out of satisfaction in saying that they play solo self-found hardcore. You can now add on a bunch of other shit like solo self-found hardcore private league, no stash, no magic, no rare, harder monster blamped, all that kind of shit. It's just for the extra niche crowd, I think. But then on top of that, it will probably be for a few extra streaming communities and, maybe some Reddit communities, things like that. They can fire up a private league and then have a bit of extra fun on the side and compete with just a much smaller crowd. Now, the reality of this is that I don't think it's going to take away from the main game at all in any sense, at least for the first month or two of a league, even for us people that it's supposedly for, which is the streamers and content creators. because you'd much rather, or at least my personal opinion is, you'd much rather dive into the main game with everyone, with the huge economy, with the huge player base, the hype, all of that. Get to trade lots of people, get to experience lots of people running around town, all of that, right from the get-go for at least the first month or two. And I think when the game dies down during its league, as it typically does at the 1.5 to 2 month mark, that's when you'll fire up a private league and refresh things just a little bit for you and your friends or community. So in my case, for example, right now in the Delve situation would be a pretty good time to start a little private thing, invite say 100 people or so, and get in on that. Not too sure how it's really going to work out for someone like me, because currently I have a subscriber-only guild in PoE, and that is strictly for subs that are 3 months or older, have been subscribed for that long. There's a max limit of 250 slots, and already that's been full for like a year. There's only so much I can do with that sort of community there, and this is going to be kind of a mess in that regard too, but we'll see how it goes. Maybe there's no upper limit on how many player slots you can make, but then it gets kind of expensive and hard to set up, I think. It is probably going to be a source of extra entertainment and something decent of an option to do for the streaming community, and kind of refresh a bit of passion throughout a league. I still don't think it's going to take too many people away to, just a few, like I said, maybe 1% of the league or some shit will start playing private stuff even in the later stages. Or you could also look at it after a month or so. Most people are ready to quit PoE and wait for the next one anyway, the next league. So chances are they're not going to be in your league anyway. They're not currently going to be players in the game that you're interacting with, because they're done for the next couple months anyway. So them going into a private league probably won't really be taking away from the main game either way. So I don't really know what else to say about all of this. I mean, private leagues are not something I ever really wanted. I enjoy having lots of options to trade with, lots of people to run around and be able to message me and shit like that. But it is probably something I can engage with in the later stages of the league. I think at this stage I'd probably much rather still play just vanilla PoE with the challenger leagues as they are, because usually the challenger leagues themselves can up the game's difficulty and content well into the ranges that I need them to be, and then it's hard enough as it is. And if you want to make it harder, like I said, just play some shittier skills that aren't quite as meta, but are still very fun. They just don't have quite the scaling that the best skills in the game do, and some other, less overpowered items, and go on certain budgets. All of this sort of shit is pretty damn oppressive, and really for the absolute hardest of hardcore, I think. So that's basically my opinion there, if you got anything out of that. And real quick, I also want to talk about the other big announcement over the weekend, which is not entirely Path of Exile related. And that is, of course, mobile Diablo 3 that was just announced at BlizzCon as a big hype sort of thing. Sorry, Diablo Immortal is what you'll call it. And as I tweeted out, the irony there being that they called it Immortal, yet it is probably the nail in the coffin of the Diablo universe, which is just a little bit unfortunate. But yeah, mobile gaming Diablo 3 is going to be coming to a phone near you in the next year or something like that, I imagine. And it's just not exactly what we were hoping for. Now, I got nothing against mobile gamers. I just don't do it myself. I haven't played a game on my phone in like 8 years or so, since I stopped going to uni, taking buses, that sort of thing. And I got nothing against it. It's just that this isn't exactly what people were hoping for and expecting to be as a BlizzCon announcement, and really just wanting from the next Diablo installment. Now, I did kind of say, a lot of people were giving me hype about Diablo 4 for BlizzCon, and I said, calm your tits, it's most likely going to be something like a Diablo mobile. Half jokingly, but also half expecting that, and here it is. So yeah, the big problem is that they announced it at BlizzCon as a big ticket thing. No one there really wants a mobile game. You're kind of there because you're a big fan of PC and PC gaming, and you bought your ticket for some Diablo hype because they built it up, and you wanted something like a Diablo 2 remastered. I don't know, the workings of Diablo 4, the Diablo Netflix series, as people preluded to, would have been pretty awesome. All that kind of shit would have been great. A Diablo mobile game, you are just preaching to absolutely the wrong market, and that's really the problem. I think a Diablo mobile game will probably still kill. It's probably going to farm lots and lots of money, as these things do regardless. But the problem is, it's just we're not the market. We're not the target audience, and we can't get excited about it, so there was no point in really showcasing it to us in that way. Should have been announced just somewhere else off to the side. A little bit of a news post or a tweet or some shit. By the way, working on mobile Diablo. People probably would have been a little bit excited about that and happy to play it or touch it, but this really isn't something the majority of us are going to be touching. No matter how well made, poorly made it is, it's just not our demographic mobile gaming. So that's basically all I got to say about that. I probably won't touch it myself personally because I just don't play mobile games, and the entire controls and all that isn't very appealing to me. But I wouldn't be too super upset about it. Personally, I do just love the memes and the drama that goes with this sort of shit, so I'm happy to read all of that and see all of that, but it's not anything I'm at all looking forward to. And one other thing I will mention, there's no need to full-blown hate Blizzard and just throw away and say, yeah, fuck them. If they release a Diablo 4 eventually and it's great, we're all winners for that. You don't have to just fully go on this huge hate train and throw away every product they've ever made and all of that. The problem is, don't give them blind adoration anymore. Don't say, yeah, I'll pre-order whatever the fuck they're going to put out there without even thinking about it. It's Blizzard, gotta do it. At this point, they should definitely have given you enough of a reason to be cautious about what you do, and if they release a Diablo 4 or announce a Diablo 4, take it with a grain of salt and use your best judgment to see what's going to come out, if it's good enough, and if it's something you should be excited about after it's kind of come out. You got to actually hold these places accountable for some extent, because if you just keep pre-ordering, keep hyping no matter what they put out, chances are they're going to keep doing whatever's best for their bottom line and making the biggest amount of money. So, I don't know. I just happen to talk a bunch of random shit. Like I said, I'm just some guy. What do I know? I play a lot of Path of Exile. That's my current expertise. Hopefully you enjoyed the opinion, or disagree with it. I don't know. I will probably be reading a bunch of the comments, maybe even chiming in the YouTube comments a little bit, so feel free to do that. But that's my piece. Hopefully you are not too upset about the Diablo thing, and hopefully you're one of the people excited about the private leagues. We do have PoE announcement for the new biggest league this year coming out next week, so that's going to be a big thing, because I thought Delve was amazing, and anything bigger than that is just going to be mind-blowing as far as I'm concerned. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and see you next time.